Hi, welcome to Kalike, and in today's session, we are going to talk about dimensions of physical quantities. So, now the question is, what do you mean by dimensions? Because we are aware of dimensions like 2 dimensions, 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions, but it is not that dimension that we are going to speak about. We are going to speak or we are going to express the derived physical quantities in terms of fundamental physical quantities. So, what are these fundamental physical quantities? The fundamental physical quantities are length, mass, time, temperature, amount of substance, electric current, temperature, and then the last one is luminosity, right? So these are 7 fundamental or base physical quantities. So derived physical quantities like velocity, force, energy, or momentum, or torque, or any other physical quantity that you come across in physics can be expressed using only these 7 fundamental physical quantities. Okay, so now let's understand what are dimensions. So since there are 7 base quantities or 7 physical quantities, the 7 physical quantities can be expressed as the basic 7 dimensions in the physical world. So how do we express these dimensions? Dimensions are written in square brackets. For example, length, which is the basic physical quantity, is expressed, the dimension of length is expressed within the brackets, and L is denoted by capital L. So the dimension for L is this. What is the dimension for mass? Mass is expressed as M within the square brackets. Similarly, time will be expressed as T within the square brackets. What about electric current? So I will write it short as electric current is, so E and C in short I have written as electric current only to save some space, because we will be doing some calculations here and it will be convenient if I have all the dimensions at one place. So electric current is written by, it goes, so what was the unit of electric current? It was ampere. So we write A as the dimension for electric current. Now temperature also I will denote it by T, but for, so that we avoid confusion, I write it short form. And temperature is also, the dimension of temperature is written as K, standing for Kelvin within the square brackets. So what are we left with? We are left with amount of substance, right? So amount, again I call this as the short form, which is not, but in order to save space, amount of substance. So this is written within the square bracket, mole. So the SI unit is mole and it is written in within the square bracket, which we call the dimension of the physical quantity. The last but not the least is luminosity, which is expressed as candela, C capital and small d, which is the unit, written within the square bracket. So these are the basic 7 dimensions in physics, and all the derived physical quantities like velocity, force, energy, momentum, acceleration, everything can be expressed using these 7 basic dimensions. And most importantly, most of the physical quantities that you're going to come across this year and also next year and whatever years you study physics, you see that we majorly use length, mass and time. So most of the physical quantities that you see in physics can be expressed in terms of the dimensions for mass, length and time. Okay, now let's try and express volume, which is a derived physical quantity, using these dimensions. So what is the definition for volume? How do you find the volume of a cube, for example? Volume of a cube is side into side into side. Now how do you measure the side? You measure the length of the side. So basically the volume, which is a derived physical quantity, can be expressed as side into side into side, or side cube, which is also nothing but length cube. You basically multiplied length 3 times. What is the dimension for length? It is given as L into L into L, right? So the dimension is L into L into L, which can be expressed, this is to the power 1, this is to the power 1, this is to the power 1. Using the laws of indices, this will become, L plus 1 plus 1 plus 1, which is nothing but L cube. So what is the dimension for volume? The dimension for volume is L to the power 3. So this is what I mean expressing the derived physical quantities using the 7 dimensions of the base or fundamental physical quantities. Let's take another example. Let's take velocity, for example. So how do you express velocity? Velocity is another physical quantity, derived physical quantity. Velocity is defined as the distance traveled by time taken, right? So distance I will just write it as distance by time. So how do you measure distance? Distance is nothing but length. You measure the length that is traveled. So what is the dimension for length? It is L. Therefore, it has to be L divided by T. T is time. The dimension for time is T. So L to the power 1, T to the power 1. Now I want to bring the T, which is in the denominator, to the numerator. So therefore that becomes L to the power 1. When you bring this 1, which the power 1 to the numerator, it gets converted to have a negative symbol. So you have L1 t minus 1, or this can also be written as simply L1 t to the power minus 1, or you can just write it as L. There is no need to write L1, but if you still want, you can write it too. So this is the dimension for velocity. So we were successful in expressing the dimensions of the derived physical quantity called velocity in terms of the dimensions of the 7 base quantities. I hope this is clear, but before I go any further, I'd like to take one more example. Let's take another derived physical quantity called force. So how do you express force? Force is mass times acceleration. Okay, so how do you express mass? What is the dimension for mass? Mass is expressed in m within the square brackets. How do you express acceleration? Acceleration is distance divided by velocity by time. Okay, acceleration is velocity divided by time. Okay, since we have already found the dimensions for velocity, what I will do is I will directly take this. So this can be expressed as mass into dimensions for velocity we have found earlier. So that will be Lt minus 1 whole divided by t. Now since this t is t to the power 1, it goes up, it also becomes t to the power of minus 2. So this will be m L t minus 1 into t minus 1. So minus 1 plus minus 1 will be minus 2. So your final answer will be m1, or simply m, and L t minus 2. So we were successful in writing the dimensions for the derived physical quantity called force in terms of the fundamental or base dimensions. Now, do you notice here all of them are expressed in terms of the seven, the basic units like length, mass, and time. Whereas here it is only length and time and mass is missing. Since I told you that we generally can express all the physical quantities in physics only using the dimensions for mass, length, and time, and mass is missing here, this can be expressed as m is 0, m doesn't exist, so I can write it as m to the power 0 because m to the power 0 is 1. So there is nothing, so we can write it as m to the power 0 L1 t to the power minus 1. Similarly here m and t are missing, so m to the power 0, which is nothing but 1, L to the power 3 into t to the power 0, t to the power 0 is again 1. So this is how you express any given physical quantity using mass, length, and time as dimensions. So we will take more number of questions based on this, so that more. Okay, now we will explore about the dimensional equations as written on the board. Now before I do that, I will revisit how we wrote dimensions for derived physical quantities like velocity, force. We can also write it for density, right? So let's write dimensions for some of the derived physical quantities. Okay, let me take velocity. Velocity is given by distance traveled by time, right? Distance by time. So distance is measured in length. That is nothing but length by time. Therefore, dimension for length is expressed within the square brackets of L divided by time is expressed as square brackets and then you write T. Right? This is 1 and this is 1, so you write it as L1 T to the power of minus 1. When this goes from denominator to the numerator, this becomes minus 1. This can also be rewritten as m0, which is nothing but 1, L to the power of 1, T to the power of minus 1. Okay, now let's write the dimensions for acceleration. Okay, acceleration is velocity divided by time, rate of change of velocity by time. So therefore velocity is written as, we know the dimensions for velocity already, we need not do it again here. So m0 L1 t minus 1 all divided by t. So t has t to the power 1, when it goes above it becomes minus 1, so that will be m0 L1 t minus 1 into t minus 1. So that is going to be m0 L1. Since the base is same, you can add the exponent minus 1 plus minus 1, or minus 1 becomes minus 2. So this is t to the power minus 2. So this is the expression for acceleration. Let's do it for density. Density is mass by volume, m by v. So mass is expressed in terms of the dimension m. Volume is length cube, so I will directly write it as L to the power of 3. So if I rewrite this, this will be m1 L to the power 3 t to the power 0, since it is equal to 1. Okay, now these are some derived physical quantities like velocity, acceleration, density, expressed in terms of dimensions of base quantities. So how do you define dimensions? Dimensions of any derived physical quantity or any physical quantity are the powers to which the base quantity can be raised, are the powers to which these base quantities like mass, length, and time can be raised in order to represent that physical quantity. So that is how you define dimension. So I repeat again, dimensions of any given physical quantity are the powers to which the base quantities can be raised in order to represent that physical quantity. Okay, now what is a dimensional equation? You see the dimension, these are equated, you see the equal sign. So the dimensions of V can be directly written as m0 L1 t to the power of -1. Similarly, so that's an equation. So you are equating the physical quantity V to the dimensions, expressing it in terms of some other base quantity. So such an equation is what is referred to as dimensional equation or dimensional formula. You're writing the dimensional formula using the base or the physical quantities and raising it to the power of something. Okay, I hope you get it right. We will now explore principle of homogeneity of dimensions. Okay, so before I talk about principle of homogeneity of dimension, I'd like to bring your attention and focus to two other physical quantities which are examples of dimensionless quantities. So are there any physical quantities that you can think of which do not have dimensions? When I say which do not have dimensions, I mean that they cannot be, although you can express it in terms of the base quantities, you will have the same base quantities in the numerator, same base quantities in the denominator, and they cancel each other, and such quantities are regarded as dimensionless quantities or dimensionless physical quantities. So such examples are angle. Okay, now for example, the plane angle that we learned, d theta, was given by the arc length, which was ds, divided by r. So r is also the length, ds is also the length. So the dimension for ds is L, the dimension for r is also L. So L and L get cancelled just like any arithmetic operation. Therefore, what is the dimension of this equation? It is 0. So theta, which is the plane angle or the solid angle or any angle in which is taken as a physical quantity, becomes a dimensionless physical quantity. So angle is an example for dimensionless physical quantity. So can you think of any other such physical quantities where the dimensions do get cancelled and it becomes a dimensionless physical quantity? I'll pause for a moment and let you think. Okay, yes. I hope you got it right. Refractive index. Okay, refractive index is one such physical quantity which is also dimensionless. It doesn't have any dimension at all. So how do you write refractive index? Refractive index is written as speed of light in vacuum. Okay, let me represent speed of light is by V. Speed of light in vacuum divided by speed of light in any given medium. So speed of light and speed of light, they're the same, they get cancelled. So this becomes a dimensionless quantity. So refractive index and angle are two such physical quantities which are dimensionless. Okay. Okay, now it's time to understand principle of homogeneity of dimensions. So what does principle of homogeneity of dimensions state? Now, you can add or subtract only similar physical quantities with similar dimensions. For example, you can only add apples to apples. You cannot add apples and lemons, something like that. So I can add velocity and velocity. I can add force plus force, right? I cannot add force and mass, or mass and density, force and volume. So because they have different dimensions, so only similar physical quantities with similar dimensions can be added or subtracted. Okay, so using this principle, you can even check the correctness of a given equation. Okay, now how do you check the correctness of a given equation? How do you check whether a given physical equation is dimensionally correct or not? So to do so, what we are going to do is we'll take one equation, write the dimensions for each and every physical quantity mentioned in the equation, and equate it with the physical quantity to check whether the given equation is dimensionally correct or not. So let's take one such example. One such example is, I will take this equation, x is equal to x naught plus v naught into t plus half at square. Okay, so where x naught is where the particle resides when the time is 0, and x is the distance covered by the particle or the position of the particle when it reaches a time t. V naught is the initial velocity, a is the acceleration covered by the particle. So now let's check the dimension. Let's check whether this given equation is dimensionally correct or not. Now how do you do so? Let's identify what all physical quantities you have. You have one physical quantity here, which is position, another here, one more here, and one more here. So I'll separate them. So this becomes your LHS. Okay, LHS has to be equal to RHS. So the left hand side I will write the dimensions for x. So the physical quantity x, okay, or you can rather even leave it as such. X, obviously it has the dimensions for length, so these get equated. X naught has the dimensions for L. Again, what are the dimensions for V naught into T? V naught into T. What V naught is velocity. Velocity is length divided by time, distance divided by time. So distance is measured in length, time in T. So L by T into T, right? So these do get cancelled. This also is equal to L, right? So this is LHS, this part, because this is on the left side of the equation. What you're doing right now is the RHS part, which is on the right hand side of the equation. X naught also has a dimension of L. V naught into T also gives you a dimension of L. So this dimension, which is on the RHS, matches exactly with LHS. This also matches exactly with the LHS. So let's check if A naught A into T square matches half A into T square is equal to half remains the same. We can't do anything with the half. So A is velocity by time. So velocity, as we know, is LT minus 1. If you do not know, you have to write it again. A is velocity by time into time square. So velocity again is length divided by time, right? But you have one more time here, so T into T, and there is T square here. So the dimensions for T square is T. So there are two T's and T's do get cancelled, and you get the dimension as L. So now compare the LHS with the RHS. So each physical quantity has the same dimension as the LHS. This equates L, L equal to L, this also equal to L, and this also has the dimensions of L. Since all the dimensions are same, you can say that this given equation is dimensionally correct. But can you prove that this equation is exactly correct? No. Why not? Because there is a half involved, and now we cannot correct the dimensions of half, because half has no dimensions. It is a number is a dimensionless quantity, so we do not know whether it is half or 3 by 2 or root 2. So we cannot check the dimensions of this quantity. So we can say this given equation is dimensionally correct equation, but we cannot for sure say that whether this equation is absolutely right, and this can be determined only through experiment. This cannot be proved using dimension. So what does this tell you? It tells you any given equation, if a dimensionally correct If an equation is not dimensionally correct, that means the given equation is absolutely wrong. Okay, so but if the dimensions are right, then the given equation is right. But if the equation involves, numbers like half, root 2 or whatever, we do not know whether the equation is right, but if the dimensions are right, it is definitely dimensionally correct. Or it might also have secant, tan, right? So it can have things like this, and we cannot check the dimensional correctness of these specific functions. So therefore we can only say it can be dimensionally correct, but we cannot verify the dimensions of these or the correctness of these. Those can be verified only through experiments. Okay, so let's take another example. Here is another equation. Half mv square is equal to mgh. So you have to verify whether the dimensions of LHS is same as the dimensions on the RHS. Only then you can say whether the given equation is dimensionally correct or not. Now let's first see what does M stand here for. M stands for mass in both the sides, on both the RHS and the LHS. G stands for acceleration due to gravity. V in this equation stands for velocity. H stands for height. Now how do we verify? Let's first take the LHS part. I will only write dimensions for LHS. So on LHS you have half mv square, right? So m is mass. I will write the dimensions for mass. Velocity, v is velocity. Velocity has the dimensions of, velocity is distance by time, right? So distance can be written as L divided by time. This is the dimension, but then it is the whole square. So this has to be whole square, right? Now let us write m. Let us bring t to the numerator. So that becomes L, t to the power 1 becomes t to the power of minus 2. Sorry, t to the power of minus 1 whole square. So now let's square it. So this gets multiplied. You can bring it in. So L has 1. 1 into 2 is 2. So mL2, t to the power of minus 1 into 2 is minus 2. So this is the dimension on LHS. Okay, now the RHS should also has the same dimension. Only then the given equation is dimensionally correct. Let's verify. So it is mgh. So m is mass is m. G is acceleration due to gravity. So acceleration, as we know, is velocity by time. Velocity is Lt minus 1 divided by time into height. Height is again measured in length, that is into L. So this has to be equal to m Lt minus 1. There are two L's in the numerator. So this is one L, another L to the power 1. They get added. So L to the power of 1 plus 1. When the bases are same, you can always add the powers. So this is t to the power of minus 1. When this goes above, this also becomes minus 1, t power minus 1. So you will have m L to the power 2, t to the power of minus 1, that becomes minus 2. So this becomes m L to the power 2, t to the power of minus 2. So this is your RHS. Now let's check if they are same. Yes, mL2 t minus 2, mL2 t minus 2. So this proves that the dimensions on the left hand side of the equation is same as the dimensions on the right hand side of the equation. Hence the given equation is dimensionally correct. But again, you cannot prove whether half is right or wrong, because we have no way to prove dimensions of such numbers. Okay, now let's take another example to check the dimension, if a given equation is dimensionally correct or not. Now here what we are doing is, you are not given any equation. Instead, you are given the SI units and you are given a set of 5 equations, and you have to identify which is the right equation based on uh, dimensions, whether the dimensions on the LHS match on the dimensions on the RHS. Okay, let's see. So the SI unit of energy is given in joules, where joules is kg meter square per second square. V stands for velocity, which is meter per second, acceleration, which is meter per second square, and m in this case is mass. So identify dimensionally correct equation based from the options given. So k is kg meter square per second square. Let's see whether you have to end up with this. So J is this. You have to basically end up with joules per length square plus T, this is mass, this is length, and this is time. So K is equal to m square V cube. That is mean, what does that mean? M is mass. Mass square will be, dimensions of mass is m whole to the power 2. V stands for velocity. Velocity is mass into, meter per second. So meter stands for length and this stands for time. So m is L meter, or if you can directly write it as distance by time, which is time when it comes up it becomes -1, or otherwise since the SI units are given, you can directly write for so meter, the dimensions of the base quantity for length, the dimensions of the base quantity for time. So this will be equal to m 2L T minus 1. But what are the dimensions for K? Let's just first write that. So the dimensions for K, which is on the RHS, is kg, which means mass, meter square, which means length square, second square, which means T minus 2. Whereas this has a different dimension. So this equation is wrong. So option A is a wrong equation. It is not dimensionally correct. Let's check the second one. Half mv square. So half m means mass. Velocity is Lt minus 1 whole power 2. So this will be half m. You multiply 2 here, so 1 into 2 is L to the power of 2, T minus 2. So here you see they are same. Equations are same. So this equation is definitely dimensionally correct. But again, we are not sure about half because we cannot verify the dimensions of half. Okay. Next, K is equal to ma. Let's see if it is right. What is m? M is mass. Acceleration is Lt minus 2, that is velocity by time. So this will be m into L T minus 2. How is acceleration? If you again want me to do how is acceleration Lt minus 2, I will show you again. Acceleration is velocity by time. Velocity is distance by time, that is length by time into time. So T and T, they go up, you add them. T power 2, this goes above, it becomes minus 2. So the dimensions of this is Lt minus 2. That is what I have written. So M, L, Lt minus 2, they are not the same. The dimensions on the LHS are not same as the dimensions on the RHS. So this equation is also wrong. Let's check this mv square. So since this is also mv square, you get the same dimensions. So 3 by 16 into mass is m, v is velocity. So Lt minus 1 whole square. So you get it as 3 by 16 into m into L into, L2 T minus 2. So the dimensions are same. So this can also be a dimensionally correct equation, but we are not sure about this dimension. We don't know whether it is 3 by 16 or 1 by 2. Hence, we cannot say whether the equation is correct, but definitely it is dimensionally correct equation. Okay, the last one is K is equal to half mv square plus ma. So mv square dimension is right here, half mv square dimension. I'll directly take from there. I don't have to do it again. So it is half into m into L2 t minus 2 into plus ma. M is mass, a is acceleration, acceleration is lt minus 2. Now you cannot do anything with this, you can only take LCM and add them. If you take LCM and add them and write it, it will become 3 by 2 into so and so. So we better leave it as such. So this also make no sense. So this equation is also dimensionally incorrect. So what are the dimensionally correct equations? Dimensionally correct equations are K is equal to half mv square or K is equal to 3 by 16 mv square. But we are not sure which one of these is exactly correct equation, since we cannot verify the dimensions of either 3 by 16 or 1 by 2. But since I already know the expression for kinetic energy, we know it is half mv square because we have learnt it in previous grades. So this is actually the correct equation. But this is the best example to tell you that a dimensionally correct equation need not always be a correct equation, because especially if there are functions involved like numbers, secant, tan, cosecant, sine, because we cannot verify the dimensions of such functions or numbers. I hope this is a very good example to prove what we said, and that it really helps you to tell whether an equation, we can only say whether a given equation is dimensionally correct or not. Okay, so now did you know that you could derive an equation or deduce the relationship between different physical quantities using the principle of homogeneity of dimensions, right? So I repeat, the principle of homogeneity of dimensions states that similar physical quantities, only similar physical quantities can be either added or subtracted if they have similar dimensions. So let's take an example here. Today we are trying to deduce an expression for the time period of a simple pendulum. Okay, so here is what I will tell you, the data that I will give you. Using that, you will have to derive or come across an equation for the time period of a simple pendulum depending on the factors that I state. Okay, let's assume this is a simple pendulum, and the period of the simple pendulum, that is the time period of the simple pendulum, depends on, let's say it depends on the length of the pendulum, okay, the acceleration due to gravity, and also the mass of the pendulum. Okay, so these are the factors on which the time period of the simple pendulum depends upon. So now, since you have so many physical quantities, you have to derive an expression for t, which is the time period of simple pendulum, which depends upon the length of the pendulum L, mass of the pendulum m, and acceleration due to gravity of the pendulum, which is represented by g. So this is L, okay, this is g, and this is mass. Okay, so now let's assume that the time period depends directly on the length, directly on the acceleration, and directly on the mass of the pendulum. So I will assume the equation to be t, which is the time period of the pendulum, is directly proportional to the length of the pendulum to the power a, because a could be 0 or anything. I do not know to what power I have to raise the physical quantity to. So I'll take it as unknown. We will figure this out using equations, and then find out the values for the powers a, b and c. So L to the power a, m to the power b, mass. It also depends on the mass. It also depends on acceleration due to gravity, which is denoted by g, g to the power c. Okay, now I will introduce a constant, because a constant could be a function, a trigonometric function like secant, theta, cosecant, tan, anything, or it could be half, root 3 or any other number for that matter. We are unaware of that number. It could be pi also. So therefore, I assume it to be some constant which can be determined only through experiments. So k will be the constant. I have replaced the proportionality with equals and k. L to the power a, m to the power b and g to the power c. Okay. Now let's write the dimensions on the LHS and the RHS. So what are the dimensions on LHS? The dimensions on LHS is t is time period, so t to the power of 1. What about mass? Mass is 0. What about length? Length is also 0. M to the power 0, L to the power 0, which is nothing but 1 into t to the power 1, because the dimensions for the physical quantity time is t to the power 1 equal to k. What are the dimensions for length? L whole to the power a. What are the dimensions for mass? This remains as m whole to the power b. What are the dimensions for acceleration? Acceleration due to gravity has the same dimensions just like acceleration. So this is something that I didn't tell you. So acceleration due to gravity or acceleration or average acceleration or even instantaneous acceleration, just like average speed, average velocity, instantaneous speed, all of these have the same dimensions as the main derived physical quantity. So acceleration and acceleration due to gravity have the same dimensions as acceleration. Similarly, velocity, average velocity, instant velocity, they all have the same dimensions just like velocity. Same applies to speed as well. So what are the dimensions for acceleration? If you remember, it is LT minus 2. If you don't remember, you can always do it. Acceleration is velocity by time. Velocity is distance. Velocity is distance by time into time, because there is one more time. If you this has power 1, this has power 1, so it will be L divided by 1 plus 1, that is t to the power of 1 plus 1. If the base quantities are same, you always add the powers. So therefore this will be L divided by t to the power of 2. When this goes up, this will become L into t to the power of minus 2. So this becomes the dimensions for acceleration. So we write it as L t minus 2. Now what do? We rewrite this as k into, since there is no m, m will be m to the power 0, L to the power 1 or L to the power a, you can write it as L into t to the power 0 whole to the power a. Similarly here, m1 L to the power 0, t to the power 0, this is nothing but 1 whole to the power b into, there is no m, so I can always write m to the power 0, L to the power 1, t to the power minus 2 whole to the power c. So these are your equations. So here you have m to the power 0, L to the power 0 and t to the power 1. Okay. Now again, so this remains as such, m power 0, L power 0, t power 1. So now let's multiply this whole power. So k will be equal to m to the power 0 into a, you multiply 0 into a, 0 into a is remaining, it remains as 0. L to the power of 1, if you have nothing, it is 1, 1 into a becomes L to the power a, t to the power of 0 into a again will be 0 into, this will be m to the power 1 into b will be b, L to the power of 0 into b will be 0, so this becomes L to the power 0, t to the power of 0 into b will be 0, we write it as 0. Similarly here, m power 0, 0 into c will be 0, so therefore m power 0. L to the power of 1 into c will be L to the power of c. T to the power of minus 2 into c will be t to the power of minus 2c. So therefore this will be minus 2c. Okay, now what do? We are going to separate these. You can add similar physical quantities, right? So you have m here, you have m here, you have m here. So this will be, let us separate them, k into m power 0 into m power b into m power 0. Now if you have that, if the base quantities are same, as I mentioned you earlier, you can always add the powers when the base quantities are same. So I add the powers 0, right, plus b, this is power, and the power of this plus 0. So 0 plus b plus 0, this is for m. Similarly we will do it for L. Okay, L to the power a plus L to the power 0, so a plus 0, L to the power c, so plus c. Okay, the next one is t power 0, right, this one, t to the power 0 plus this one again 0 plus, it's not plus, it is minus 2c. Okay, so now on the right hand side you have m power 0, L power 0, t to the power of 1. Since the bases are same, you can now equate LHS and RHS and obtain simultaneous equations. Okay, let's do it. I will erase the rest of the part and only retain this, rewrite this, so it will be easy to write our equations. Okay. Okay, so now you have these equations. I will equate them. So you see m power 0 equal to m to the power of 0 plus b plus 0. 0 plus b plus 0. Similarly, L power 0 equal to L power a plus 0 plus c. So L, okay, these need to be written in the form of dimensions. So L power 0 equal to L power a plus 0 plus c. So L power a plus 0 plus c. Similarly, t to the power 1 is equal to t to the power of 0 plus 0 minus 2c. So the dimensions for t are t to the power 1 is t to the power of 0 plus 0 minus 2c. Now since again the bases are same, you can equate the powers. So what will you get? 0 is equal to 0 plus b plus 0 is 0. So what is the value of b? Value of b is 0. Similarly here the power of L is 0. 0 is equal to a plus 0 plus c will be a plus c. Okay, so both are unknown here. Now here t to the power of 1, that is 1, will be equal to 0 plus 0 minus 2c is minus 2c. Therefore, if you bring minus 2 on the other side, you get c is equal to minus 1 by 2. So this will be the value of c. You know the value of c, you know the value of b. Now you have to find the value of a. So let's substitute the value of c in this equation. 0 is equal to a minus half, right? Or in other words, if a minus half comes on the other side, it becomes plus. When it goes from left hand side to right hand side, the sign of the number changes. Therefore, a will be equal to plus half. So the values of A, B and C are half, 0 and minus half. So what was our equation? Our equation was T is equal to K to the power of K into L to the power of A, M to the power of B and G to the power of C. So that means T equal to K into what is L to the power A? L to the power of half, because A is half, M to the power of 0, G to the power of C. What's the value of C? Minus C. So this can be rewritten as K, L to the power of half is nothing but square root of L, M to the power of 0 is 1, G to the power of minus half can be written in the denominator. So it will be square root of G, it comes in the denominator. So K is a constant. Now we arrived at the expression for T. What is the expression for T? Time period is K into root of length of the pendulum divided by G. So the time period of a simple pendulum depends as the square root of the length, directly proportional to the square root of length and inversely proportional to the square root of acceleration due to gravity. The value of K cannot be determined through dimensional analysis. It has to be determined otherwise, generally using experiments. So that's the beauty of dimensional equations. Using dimensional analysis or equating the LHS dimensions on the LHS with the dimensions on the RHS, you can always deduce a equation, physical equation, given you know on what all factors does the physical quantity depend on. Because we could deduce it here because it was given it depends on the length of the pendulum, acceleration due to gravity of the pendulum and mass of the given pendulum. Okay.